So to carry forward the debate that we will have right through this week on the Bharatiya Sanhita, the new criminal laws, I'm joined by the former Finance and Home Minister of the country, eminent lawyer P. Chidambaram joins me. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Chidambaram. Let's start with your views on the new 3 criminal laws to replace IPC, CRPC and Indian Evidence Act that have come into force today. You've said there are several retrograde provisions. Some of them are prima facie unconstitutional. Do you want to specifically tell me what is retrograde and unconstitutional according to you in these new laws?
There are several provisions which are retrograde. For example, the opportunity should have been taken to improve the laws, to bring it in line with modern criminal jurisprudence. Now, I can't call the present provision unconstitutional, but to continue with death penalty, to continue with adultery as a crime, to continue with sedition as a crime, all this is completely retrograde. That apart, the bail provisions are capable of 2 interpretations, maybe more than 2 interpretations. And if one interpretation is accepted, it would be retrograde and unconstitutional. For example, one interpretation is that you can keep a person in police custody for 60 to 90 days. Now that's obviously retrograde because the current law is police custody is only for a maximum of 15 days and that too within the first 15 days of arrest. But one interpretation is that they can take the 15 days in bits and pieces, spread over 60 to 90 days. Now what will the poor magistrate do? If a police officer, the prosecuting officer says, I want your custody for 5 days, and then he says, I will ask his custody again after a break of 1 week, what will the magistrate do for that intervening 1 week? Will he give them bail? No, he will send him to judicial custody. So effectively for 60 to 90 days, nobody can get bail under the new provisions. Now there are several such provisions which are retrograde. For example, they have made a distinction between sentence for life and sentence for the remainder of the life. We pointed out that these two, do they mean the same thing or do they mean different things? If they mean different things, then please explain where sentence for life will apply and sentence for the remainder of the life will apply. No attempt has been made to accept our criticism or pointing out the error and correct it. There are several provisions which are retrograde.
Sir, you're saying these are provisions which are retrograde. At the same time, interestingly, you've said there are few improvements also in the new laws and you welcome them.
Of course.
So, can you tell me a provision which you think is a positive development?
A provision which is a positive development is that except in the cases of crucial witnesses, the formal witnesses can be examined virtually on video, which is a welcome provision. There is a provision which says that an official record need not be proved only by the author of the record. The author holds an office, and if his successor steps in, the successor can prove it. These are certainly improvements, which we accept.
Because
we have not criticized the improvements.
But
these improvements can be done. Just a moment.
Yes.
These improvements could have been done by an amendment. There's no need to replace the law.
The Home Minister is saying he's
Indian Penal
replaced.
Code.
The Home Minister is saying he's replaced what he calls a colonial legislation. He says after 77 years of independence, the country has a completely Swadeshi legal system embedded in Indian ethos. Justice has replaced punishment in the new criminal laws.
This is the most hollow argument. I've spent hours creating a two-table column for each bill, putting the existing provisions on one column and the replacing provisions in another column. Now, take for example the Indian Penal Code. It has 25 chapters containing 511 sections, of which 3 chapters have only 1 section each. So if you remove the 3 sections or ignore the 3 sections, 3 chapters are knocked out. Of the remaining 23 chapters, 18 out of 23 chapters, word for word, have been copied and pasted. Far from removing the colonial law, they have paid a tribute to Lord Macaulay. Far from removing the colonial law, they have paid a posthumous tribute to Lord Macaulay. And according to the government's own quantitative analysis, 24 sections have been deleted and 22 sections have been added. In 511 sections, if you remove 24 sections and add 22 sections, 48 sections, 46 sections are affected. They could have been brought by an amendment.
So you're saying
every single section.
You're saying it's mainly a kind of a copy-paste job from the previous laws. It doesn't have anything distinctive about it. Is your primary concern, particularly when it comes to custody, which has different interpretation, that it is giving the police, again, huge discretionary powers? You are a former Home Minister, now it's Amit Shah, and the general feeling is no government has been willing to truly have police independence, make the police independent of the executive. Instead, with laws like this, they will have huge discretionary powers that they can use on behalf of the government. For example, when it comes to Section 152, which is in a way the new definition of sedition.
See, please understand, that's why I said sedition is being retained. It just got a different section number.
Yes.
Every section number has been changed. Now, why is every section number changed? Everybody knows, even the lowest constable knows, 302 is murder. Now you'll have to hunt for where 302 is. Everybody knows. Several sections, every law student, every lawyer, every judge, every constable knows by heart. Now he'll have to hunt for the sections. Now what will happen, I'll tell you. The Law Commission was not consulted. This is the first time a so-called major exercise by the government to replace 3 very, very important laws has not been referred to the Law Commission. What is a Law Commission for? It is the only competent body which is consulted in framing new laws. Now, why was this matter not referred to the Law Commission? Why was it sent to a select, hand-picked body of persons, most of whom served on a part-time basis? Is this the way to frame a law? Now, what will happen, I'll tell you. In the short term, there will be utter confusion among lawyers, judges, police, and there will be myriad interpretations. As many courts, as many interpretations. In the medium term, there will be huge litigation. Petitions have already been filed in the Supreme Court. They will be filed in the High Court. They will be filed in each High Court. And by the time the law is settled by the Supreme Court, it will take months. In the medium term, there will be huge litigation. In the long term, another government will have to come and clear all the overgrowth, undergrowth, and chop and cut and clean up the law. If I was doing this, we will take the law, refer it to the Law Commission, and ask them to suggest changes which will bring the laws in tune with modern criminal jurisprudence. For example, death penalty should have been abolished. Adultery should no longer be a crime. Sedition should have been removed. And an explicit provision incorporating Justice Krishna's dictum. Bail is the rule, jail is the exception, must have been expressly, explicitly incorporated in the law.
So, net, what you are saying, there are specific aspects of the law which you find retrograde and unconstitutional. There are elements that you are welcoming, but you believe these elements could have been brought in through amendments. You did not need a complete rejig with the new nomenclature of laws. You believe this will cause only more confusion and will perhaps eventually even give the police even more discretionary powers. Am I broadly correct?
You are broadly correct. Let me add a line. The so-called improvements are so few that they can be counted on the fingers of two hands. There are so few improvements, and they could have been easily incorporated by amendment. Instead of renumbering every section has been renumbered. It's a mischievous mind which renumbers every section.
It will lead perhaps only to more confusion in police stations, which of course is another concern, especially at the lower constabulary that many citizens have to deal with. Either way, I do hope, Mr. Chidambaram, that there will be a dialogue. The Home Minister has said he is open to any questions as well as clarifications and any suggestions. So I hope you will provide some of these suggestions to Home Minister Shah.
I wish he keeps a promise, because we wrote detailed dissent notes. Not only I, several other members, lawyer members, wrote detailed dissent notes. None of the dissent notes have been taken into account.
Okay.
Besides, the debate took place on 19th and 20th of December in the Lok Sabha, 21st of December in the Rajya Sabha. Not one opposition member participated because 146 members had been suspended and thrown out. So there was no debate in the Law Commission, no debate in the Parliament. And therefore, if the law minister, the Home Minister, wisdom prevails, they should put it on hold and hold a conclave, invite eminent people, judges, lawyers, senior lawyers, etc., to a conclave, take their suggestions, refer it to the Law Commission, and go by the advice of the Law Commission.
Okay.
That is my suggestion.
Let me leave it there. Mr. Chidambaram, thanks very much for joining us and sharing your suggestions, your wisdom with us once again. Appreciate it.